Good morning, everyone. It's Adam here. Hey, morning. We are back at BB-8's house, and we are gonna, get about 90% done with the GS today. So, wow, a lot has happened since I was last here. I was last here a day or two after Christmas. No, a day or two before Christmas. In that day, we pulled a bunch of hard parts off of my bike, crash bars, luggage rack, obviously fuel tank, and all kinds of other bits were removed from the GS, including the front and rear suspension, which is why that jack stand is there. I had to ship those to Beamer shop in California. Total price to refurbish the Touratech/Tractive ESA compatible shocks came to $750. I am as surprised as you are. But remember, these are not, dumb suspension. Jeff over there told me that it takes about twice or three times as long because all the electronics to do. They replace a lot of cables and plugs. It's just a lot more work with the electronics. So that took him like 2.5 days to do all that. So $4,000 shocks, and then every 30,000 miles is about $700 to refurbish them. And they look for any, cracks or leaks or anything. So there's those. Those are going back on today. We also have a smorgasbord of BMW parts here. I'm just going to do this here. So clamps for the intake, Snorkel, one-time use bolts for the suspension. So BMW does ask that you replace these bolts whenever you take the shocks off. So a bunch of bolts, things that were either, holds the winglets on, the air winglets on above the fuel tank. So those, I had a couple of those missing, and a couple of these bolts were cross-threaded. We have new soft pieces for the fuel tank to mount into. More stuff for the winglets. And then we have this guy here, which is our ESA level sensor. I broke it. I'll show you that in a second. More one-time use bolts, and then we have a piece of a Snorkel. I'll show you why that is there as well. It's about $300 worth of parts. So when we removed the rear ESA shock in my install video from 2 years ago, I mentioned, hey, when you remove the rear shock, watch out for this level sensor right here. And seriously, watch out for that level sensor, because that part cost $150 and we broke it. Yeah, it's broken. So, yeah, watch out for that. Here's the pieces, by the way, that we replaced, those little pieces that go under the tank there. And then I'll show you guys why I bought a Snorkel, an air intake Snorkel, right-hand side. Let me buy all these BMWs here. That's because you could see here we were removing this piece of the front of the 1200. You see how that broke off right there? That's the black plastic for the Snorkel. So that just cracked off, brittle plastic. So we replaced that Snorkel piece. So yeah. Oh, I have some stuff to show you though while we're getting kind of into the day. It's 8 a.m. Gonna get into it. Alt-Rider skid plate. This is gonna look like garbage after 10 miles of riding off-road, but the side profile should hold up pretty well. So there's our Alt-Rider skid plate in the same red of my Jesse boxes. And then we have, where are you? Then we have our lower crash bars right here. Alt-Rider lower crash bars, same red. Upper crash bars, there's our Acura exhaust, not powder coated. And then you've got your brackets for your crash bars there. And then up top we have our Jesse luggage things, which aren't painted, they are powder coated. They come painted, and they started chipping and rusting, which means we had to powder coat them. Only thing we didn't powder coat was the upper, well, we didn't do these because these get hidden. You can kind of see how BB-8 says. So you can see how this piece here is going to be behind the boxes. So I told him we don't need to powder coat it. Honestly, given our timeline, he could, for sure. And then finally, the upper luggage rack, which I had powder coated black a few years ago, is still here. And, well, he could probably do that red if he wants to. Yeah, last thing you can see here on the air box, is that tab right there on this side. Well, on this side, it's broken. So that's why we're replacing this piece here. Let me go ahead and grab that actually, and I will get that rigged up for later. So the goal today is to get this bike roadworthy. So get some oil into it, obviously get the fuel tank back on, suspension back on, crash bars back on, also installing the new advanced hand guards that are nylon from Machine Art Moto. Windscreen, all that kind of stuff gets put back on the bike, and at least it'll be kind of roadworthy. And then we'll let Matt do these as well as the upper, because the very last problem I'm having is my favorite guys at Rlink.com, the Armatronics guys that make Rlink, which is the GPS tracker that works with Rever Premium. I love it. It's a great system. I have it on my Husky and on my GS. The cool thing about it is it's a wiring harness that you can plug your box into, and then it tracks your location and generates GPX files. I use it, well, every time I ride I use it. It's tracking all the time. It's also anti-theft, which I don't really need in New Hampshire. The old one was 3G only, and so now the 3G towers are getting turned down. It's not working anymore. So I ordered a new one, which works with 4G LTE. It's also an upgraded wiring harness, unfortunately, which means that I need to, on both bikes, take out the old wiring. So this right here is the wiring harness power for the thing. And then this is the GPS antenna as well. It runs, and it's all running through this very complicated loom that BB-8 built a few years ago. Our plan, and it doesn't get here till Monday, our plan is to just cut this off, because it's all baked in, and install the new one right here, and that way, and I'll have to do the same thing at home with my Husky, and then we can, go to the new 4G Rlink system. I know it really is a pain in the ass, but got to do it. So that is our weekend. I know 7 minutes in. I'm going to just now be sending you all like very sparse clips as we put things together. First up, I'm going to start getting all of these little bits and pieces in their respective spots so I can just get off my checklist. And yeah, then I'll put the shocks in while he's gone and get that throttle position sensor fixed. So here's your ESA level sensor. All I did, you can see right here, is just break this piece off. There are a few bolts that are holding it on. We're going to save this back nut here and just basically replace the whole thing because it's all one piece. So here's the good one. Obviously the arm's not broken. $150 from BMW, of course. Matt, you having fun?
Oh,
This could just be my nerves talking, Matt, but I'm not feeling good with that lower bolt.
no?
Well, Matt's done with the valve check. Taking notes.
Oh, shoot.
Shock is in. So with these aftermarket tractive shocks with ESA, you have this big motor oil reservoir back here. This needs to be kind of loose so you don't pull at that. Come in and up, and everything's underneath the ECU, the Bosch ECU there. Airbox is on. As you guys remember, I had to install a new Snorkel. This is the old Snorkel, new one's on the other side. Here's the front shock is back on as well. Everything's all tidy in there. We're coming together. So I had some new clips for these bits. That lays like that. And so now we're gonna, once I get all this stuff tightened down, I'm gonna get the tank from upstairs and try not to drop it, because dropping it is about $2,000 part. Could just buy a used KLR instead of a GS fuel tank. Well, got Matt doing the valve checks again, because the first time we were drinking a bit too much. He wants to make sure his math is right. Should we do math while we're drinking?
Yes. Best case scenario.
That way you get a different answer every time.
Yeah.
It keeps things interesting. Just a couple grand. Oh, I need to move these shit out of the way.
What do you want?
These things are in the way.
They'll still work.
It would have just gone. Good. You were smart to drop this thing down.
Would have been more entertaining another foot in here.
All right, now we got to lean this back. Put these guys in. This one's longer. Not sure if you can see all that. She don't want a funnel? People get to see the crash bars the first time. It's gonna be red. What you doing there?
Just playing with your tailpipe.
That's gonna look really great, but until I drop it.
Yeah.
I think we're done, right? Are we done?
So.
Until next time. So I will show everyone the here's the luggage racks. Those will go on with the Jesse red boxes. And Matt's gonna powder coat a couple of these little bits here, the heel guard and the brake reservoir guard, and this little cover here. It's gonna look good. It's also a little bit not as pretty right now because it's kind of covered in red dust. But we'll clean that off.
Well, it's red, so it's 5 mph faster now, too.
Not with me driving it.
We put stripes on it, gives it another 10.
Oh my God.
There you have it.